with an anger and for the first time went into battle without a plan, ignoring the advice of her trusted advisor and lover. Ayaba went after Aremu and his warriors and faced warlord Aremu enraged and with the full force of her power. The rise of Ayaba, the warrior princess. In the bustling marketplace of the old Oyo kingdom, vibrant colors, exaggerated sounds, and an exhilarating aroma filled the air as the 12-year-old Ayaba ran from one store to another, helping her mother Yeye Oshumi sell herbs and ingredients for the monthly Oya offering. The earnings from these fortnight sales were meager, but they had never affected the curious and defiant spirit of Ayaba. Her mom always told her that helping people live a good life so they could give thanks to the gods of their land was way more than any riches the sales of other wares could ever offer them. Besides, Baba Ayaba Adetunji, a renowned warrior for the Oba of the Oyo kingdom, earned enough in cowries and properties as tokens of appreciation from the king for the many battles he had won for the king and the people of Oyo kingdom. Ayaba had always yearned for a life outside of this marketplace, a life where she got to visit other kingdoms like her father and spread the teachings of her mother to other people who may not have known about the infinite goodness and mercy of Oshun and the strength of Oya. Ayaba was a ferocious kid who loved with so much compassion and descended upon her enemies with unabated wrath. Ayaba was smiling with her mom when the messenger from the king arrived with the heart-wrenching news that the renowned warrior Adetunji had fallen in battle. Ayaba was left wide-eyed when she heard that her father had been killed in battle. She looked to her mother for comfort, and in all the years she had known her mother, she had never seen her cry. But on that day, her mother, Yeye Oshumi, fell to the ground and wailed to the sky. "Oro!" She screamed at the top of her lungs until she couldn't scream anymore. Ayaba might have been only 12 years old on that day, but she knew her life had changed forever. The next day, Baba Oloye, a village elder, came to see Ayaba and her mom, telling them that since Ayaba's father did not have any male child, all of his spoils of war belonged to the king, and their family was no longer entitled to any of the benefits enjoyed by families of fallen warriors, since they can no longer be of use to the king and his army of warriors. Ayaba tried to hold the elder's hand and pledge her loyalty to the king, but Baba Oloye pulled his hand away, saying, "Fimisile Omoyi, women cannot be warriors." Ayaba, fueled by grief and injustice, vowed to honor her father's legacy and protect her family no matter what. The next day, Ayaba visited the Oshun River. After enduring several days of arduous journey through treacherous forest paths, she finally arrived at the sacred spots which her mother and the rest of the Yeye community used to worship. She called out to Oshun, the river goddess, at the top of her lungs until her voice began to fail. Lightning struck the river and Ayaba entered a dreamlike trance. Oshun revealed herself to Ayaba and told her she came from a long line of great warriors and yeyes, so she was special and could wield the power of a goddess on a human level. Oshun commanded Ayaba to go forth and embrace the warrior within, as well as her supernatural powers. On coming out of the trance, Ayaba was filled with a new surge of energy and felt like she could take on an entire army on her own. Oshun revealed to her that a part of her lived within Ayaba, and she now had the power of 7 men and had the power over sickness and death. Ayaba ran back to her village with superhuman speed and started training in secrets, learning and mastering all the traditional Yoruba fighting techniques under the guidance of elders like Iyalode and Yeye Abeni, the only retired female warrior in the kingdom. Iyalode at first refused to teach Ayaba how to fight, but with the help of Yeye Abeni, Iyalode finally agreed to teach Ayaba how to fight alongside Yeye Abeni. It had been years since Ayaba got her powers and learned how to fight. She had now grown into a beautiful young woman who was revered by all in her kingdom. She now had a place among the top warriors in her kingdom, and no one dared to challenge her. Ayaba was as kind to those in need as she was ruthless to those she was at war with. In recent years, a warlord, Aremu, had grown in power and size, and he had been pillaging one village after another, leaving only death and agony in his wake. Ayaba had heard about this ruthless warlord before, but never paid too much attention. But now, his power and followers had grown since the last time she heard about him. So she immediately went to visit the king for permission to attack Aremu's forces before they grew even larger. The king denied her request and told her not to worry about Aremu. The king said he was not a threat to their kingdom. Ayaba left the king's palace angrily, but she did not give up. Ayaba began to secretly rally up a band of misfits and outcasts, which included a quick-witted thief, Ogunride, and a stoic hunter, Olade. Ayaba attacked several of the warlords' armies, and her unconventional tactics, ruthless methods, and supernatural powers granted her daring victories against Aremu's forces. Her legend continued to grow, and she now had a large number of warriors from neighboring villages willing to fight by her side. By now, she had her own trusted warriors, which included the stoic warrior Olade, the quick-witted thief Ogunride, the wise healer Iya Beni, and cunning strategist Chief Kola. As time went by and Ayaba continued to wage wars, she began to question the harsh realities of war as she witnessed the loss of innocent lives. She was internally torn between compassion and ruthlessness, and slowly began to question what she was fighting for. Olade, whom she had now grown fond of and had fallen in love with over the years of fighting side by side, comforted her and told her she was fighting for the right reasons. Olade was a calming force to her raging storm. Ayaba and Olade's bond continued to deepen, and Ayaba began to fear losing Olade to the war. She begged him to stop fighting alongside her and go home to live a normal life, but he refused and said his place was by her side. On one fateful night, Aremu himself attacked Ayaba's village while she was away and killed many innocent villagers, including Ayaba's mom and Yeye Beni. Ayaba came home to meet a devastated village and the dead body of her mother and her mentor. Ayaba was engulfed by grief and anger, and for the first time went into battle without a plan. Ignoring the advice of her trusted advisor and lover, Ayaba went after Aremu and his warriors and faced warlord Aremu enraged and with the full force of her power. But because she went in without a plan, she lost the war and Olade was stabbed in the chest by Aremu with a supernatural blade before escaping with the rest of his warriors. Ayaba had underestimated the power of the warlord Aremu and didn't know he also had supernatural powers. Ayaba tried to save Olade with her powers, but the supernatural blade that he was stabbed with made it impossible. Ayaba took Olade to the river Oshun to ask for mercy and asked Oshun to save his life. But instead, Oshun gave her a choice. Oshun asked her to choose between saving her lover's life or getting a weapon that would help her defeat the warlord once and for all, saving countless innocent lives. With a heavy heart, Ayaba made the agonizing decision of letting Olade die and letting Oshun grant her the powerful axe of Ogun. Before Olade died, Ayaba told him she was pregnant for him, and he blessed their unborn child, saying the child would be a great hunter and warrior like his parents. Olade died right not too long after his prayer, and the heaven went dark as Ayaba wept. It was a sad day for the kingdom of Oyo. Armed with her new weapon, Ayaba hunted down the warlord Aremu and his warriors. With her warriors behind her and the advice from her trusted advisor, she attacked Aremu's stronghold. She transformed her grief and rage into raw power and cut down every one of Aremu's warriors that she encountered. She beheaded the warlord Aremu and returned back to her village as a broken warrior who had tasted the final victory of war. After that battle, Ayaba returned the powerful axe of the god of war Ogun back to Oshun and laid down her weapon, never to fight in wars again. She rebuilt her village and gave birth to a baby girl, whom she promised to teach the ancient ways of war and peace, while making sure she understood that every choice came with a consequence. She called her child Moremi. Years after the death of Ayaba, people still revered her as Ayaba the Liberator, and her name lived on in the hearts of the Oyo people and throughout the hearts of everyone in the Oyo kingdom.